Coming up on today's show, we're going to jump into the latest update on Deshaun Watson. We'll talk about potential quarterback trade rumors out there. And then I thought we'd kind of debrief after the Colts game. I've got my voice back. The hater said I would lose it. Nuh-uh. I was pounding tea last night like it was Natty Light my sophomore year of college. So let's get into today's show. And all of it is sponsored by HexClad. You can get 10% off and get the best pots and pans out there when you use our special link, hexclad.com/chatsports. But now let's get into the Deshaun Watson injury update. And drum roll, please. There is no update. Like, the update is he's day to day. So we're still in the same spot where we were a week ago and kind of the week before that. But we did get some information-ish out of Kevin Stefanski today during his Zoom press conference with the media. Scott Petrak tweeted out, Coach Kevin Stefanski on not putting Deshaun Watson back in the game. I thought it was a big hit. Saw on the big screen. I just felt like the right thing for the team was to protect him. So I don't think the hit on Deshaun Watson and him going to the medical tent came out with an evaluation of, hey, the injury was X before. Now it's been upgraded. I think Kevin Stefanski just threw up his breakfast in that moment and had a little epiphany of, I am not about to further damage Deshaun Watson's throwing shoulder for a Colts game in October. Let's shut it down. The first series or two wasn't that great to begin with. He didn't look like himself. Let's not play with our food and try and get greedy here. Let's turn to P.J. Walker. Now, Jake Trotter also added this from the presser saying, asked Kevin Stefanski if putting Deshaun Watson on IR is consideration right now. Stefanski would not say either way. Keeps using the phrase day-to-day, okay? So we don't have a clear picture as to the long-term status for Deshaun Watson, and frankly, I'm not surprised by that. He has a day-to-day injury. What do you want, Deshaun? What do you want Kevin Stefanski to say? Like, Deshaun Watson will be ready to roll October 29th. He doesn't know right now, right? It's a day-to-day injury. That's how day-to-day injuries work. So I'm not too surprised that Stefanski did not come out here and say black and white answer as to when Deshaun Watson will return. I feel like some people just want Watson or want Stefanski to say Watson's going on IR because they don't like Deshaun Watson, so they just want it to be clear that he's being shut down for 4 weeks. Daryl Ryder, tweeted out, asked Kevin Stefanski the plan for P.J. Walker, who has been elevated 3 times from the practice squad. He asked to be signed to the 53-man roster or clear waivers to be moved back to the practice squad. That's an AB question. So P.J. Walker has been called up 3 times from the practice squad, and if you don't know, you only get 3 elevations before a decision has to be made. He's either added to your 53-man roster or you have to release him. They're going to add him to their 53-man roster. The question is, where do they get a roster spot? Do they put someone on IR, right? Alex Wright is in concussion protocol. Jerome Ford is dealing with an ankle injury. Or do they release someone? They got that corner who they got from the Chiefs after a 53-man cutdown day back in August. He's been inactive like every week so far. Maybe he's the 53rd guy on this roster. But when it comes to Deshaun Watson and a lack of a clear update as to his future with this team this year, I'm not shocked that a coach like Kevin Stefanski, who is notorious for not sharing a lot of information, is not giving us a lot of detailed information on Deshaun Watson and calling him day-to-day. Like, it's Monday. Watson most likely is going to meet with the team doctors and the trainers, probably get another MRI, maybe an x-ray on his shoulder, come away with the same spot he was last week, which is micro tears on his rotator cuff and a contusion/a rotator cuff bruise, and he'll go back to being day-to-day. Now, maybe the Browns this time go, we played him when he was 90%. We're not going to make that same mistake again. We're going to wait until he's 100% ready to roll, and that might not be Seattle. That might not be the following week, but it's not going to take too much longer beyond that. But for it being Monday, you usually don't get coaches giving definitive injury statements unless it is out for the season, right? Like Nick Chubb, we knew, out for the season. But for other guys that are dealing with day-to-day injuries, yeah, the coach is not going to give you a very clear answer because they themselves don't have a very clear answer. Now, when it comes to trade rumors now involving quarterbacks and going to the Browns, Hayden Grove tweeted this out during the win yesterday, saying, if the Browns win this game and Myles Garrett continues this, does Cleveland look at the QB trade market? Could Kirk Cousins make sense? Can't waste this. And I understand the idea of this team being special, this defense being awesome, and you don't want this season to go down the drain because of an injury to the quarterback position. But since when did Deshaun Watson's injury turn into a season-ending injury? Because for one, I missed that. Someone send me the tweet, please, where it came out, Deshaun Watson is gone for the year. You have to go trade for Kirk Cousins, who will start the rest of the season. Because I promise you this much. If you trade for Kirk Cousins and give up everything you would have to get for him, which, by the way, you don't have those assets to get Kirk Cousins, but that's a separate argument, you are starting Kirk Cousins the rest of the season. You're not trading for Kirk Cousins to bridge the gap for 2 to 3 weeks until Deshaun Watson can return. So as long as Deshaun Watson is off of IR, no, I do not see the Browns making a blockbuster move for a quarterback. Now you look at Cleveland's upcoming schedule here. Can they weather the storm? Week 8 at Seattle, tough place to play. Seahawks are coming off a win, but they're banged up themselves. The NFL trade deadline is just a few days after that, so you don't have a lot of time to sit on your hands and figure out whether or not Deshaun Watson's going to go to IR or not if you want to make a big move for a quarterback. So if you discover after October 31st, Watson's just not going to be right the rest of the season, we have to shut him down. He's our franchise quarterback. We have him for 3 more seasons. Well, you have about 10 days to figure that out. Not even. After that, the Cardinals come to town. You go to Baltimore. Steelers come to town. Like, you've got some tough games, no doubt about it. To Denver, that shouldn't be too tough. To LA to play the Rams, not so tough. The Jags at home, they're playing well. They've won a few in a row. The Bears are coming off a win, but they're still an easy win in my eyes. And then you got Week 16 at Houston, who have been frisky, we'll say, this year, and then 2 more games after that. So, yes, if Watson is going to miss 4 weeks or more, there's no doubt about it that you can't roll with P.J. Walker, because we have seen the P.J. Walker experience for 2 weeks now, and it's a heart attack on a plate experience. Like, on one hand, he's gotten the job done in both games, where he has driven this team down the field and got them into field goal range, or last week got them to the goal line, and maybe a little bit of assistance from referees got it done. But nevertheless, it hasn't been a great experience with P.J. Walker. And if you're going to miss Deshaun Watson for a big chunk of the season moving forward, a move has to be made to improve the quarterback position. But until Deshaun Watson is placed on IR, I don't see that move being made. Now, before we get on to the rest of today's show, it's time to talk about your kitchen. And no, I'm not talking about your roommate's dishes in the sink. Today's sponsor, Hexclad, has revolutionized the cookware industry with a hybrid pan that gives you all the convenience and cleanup of nonstick, the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, and a lifetime warranty just in case you find a way to destroy them. So go to hexclad.com/chatsports for 10% off. Hexclad truly checks every single box when it comes to picking your cookware. They are metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, and oven safe up to 500 degrees. I did not know some things can't go into the oven. Asked my burnt dinner about that a few nights ago. But don't just take my word for it. Celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay also uses them at home too. They are the sexiest pans on the market, so you can score some points at home. It's time to stop ordering delivery food and start cooking like a big boy with Hexclad. Real cuisine is not made in the microwave. It's cooked in a Hexclad. You don't want to take my word for it. Here's Gordon Ramsay's. The sear I can get with these pans is incredible, with absolutely no stick. The temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using Hexclad at home. You can picture the accent in your head. So, for a limited time, get 10% off with our special link, hexclad.com/chatsports. That's 10% off at hexclad.com/chatsports. Shout out to Hexclad for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's talk about the trade rumors that are inevitably going to start coming out over the next week or so as we are in limbo with Deshaun Watson. As long as Deshaun Watson is not on IR, the Browns will not trade for Kirk Cousins. I can guarantee you that much. In fact, I almost want to go a step further and say I can guarantee the Browns are not trading for Kirk Cousins, even if Deshaun Watson goes on IR. But let's at least entertain some of the fan fiction out there of trade for Kirk Cousins, because on paper, it does make some sense. This team is awesome. This defense kicks ass. They've got the best kicker in nearly 2 decades now. So if Kirk Cousins is available because the Vikings are sucking this year, maybe he would waive his no trade clause, reunite with Kevin Stefanski, and play out the rest of the season with a very good roster and try and make some noise in the playoffs. Now, Kirk Cousins this year, he's going to have a Monday night battle against the 49ers in a few hours, has been outstanding. Like, I bet you didn't think he has 14 touchdowns to 4 interceptions and 1,600 yards and a very respectable completion percentage of 67.2. But I do want to raise some other numbers here, and that is his time with and without Mr. Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota. Kevin Stefanski was his offensive coach for 2 seasons. In those 31 games, 56 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. Yards per game slightly down, but completion percentage slightly up. Now, Kevin Stefanski, or I should say Kirk Cousins, without Kevin Stefanski, 111 touchdowns, 38 interceptions. Like, pound for pound, better numbers, and just at least in terms of touchdowns and interceptions without Kevin Stefanski. But at the end of the day, I go back to this. The Browns are not trading to replace their franchise quarterback, even for the rest of this year, with a different franchise quarterback. I mean, let's just say the Browns win a playoff game with Kirk Cousins. I'm not talking a Daniel Jones type playoff win last year, but I'm saying the Browns offense and Kirk Cousins looks awesome and they beat the Chiefs or the Bengals or one of these other juggernauts in the AFC. What are they going to do with Deshaun Watson? That'd be a really tough sell to the locker room and to everyone to go, I know we just did really well with Kirk Cousins. We won a playoff game. Maybe they even won 2 playoff games. But we're going to go back to our Deshaun Watson quarterback because we sunk $230 million into him. That's just a problem Andrew Berry does not want to face. So you know how he can avoid facing that? By just not trading for Kirk Cousins altogether. And for that reason, I believe the Browns will not trade for Kirk Cousins. But we are closing in really quickly before we get to the next segment on 26,000 subscribers. We are 14 away. So be one of the 14 people who have not subscribed to hit the sub button and help us reach our next milestone, 26,000 subs. Now, another trade possibility for Cleveland would be a reunion with Jacoby Brissett. I don't know if a quarterback has ever played or started 11 games for a team, came back the next year, and got a standing ovation and a tribute on the big board like Jacoby Brissett did. But this one seems much more plausible, but I still maintain my stance of only if Deshaun Watson goes to IR. Let's say the Browns do have a better idea as to when Deshaun Watson will return, and they say day-to-day to us, but they know it's probably not going to be the Seahawks game. It's probably going to be it might not be the Cardinals game, but it'll be the Ravens game. So let's say the Browns are thinking 2 games in their minds. They really going to trade for a new starting quarterback mid-season, throw him the playbook, have him start 2 games? He better go 2-0. Otherwise, it's a complete disaster of a trade if you gave up assets and you moved on from P.J. Walker, who is, whether we like it or not, 2-0 as a Browns quarterback, to roll the dice with Brissett for 2 weeks. Like, that just doesn't seem, that to me, that doesn't seem like a big enough games to be played where you need to go and trade for a quarterback. Whereas if Deshaun Watson goes to IR and you know he's going to miss 4 games, yes, I will entertain the idea of trading for Brissett knowing, hey, maybe he doesn't start that first game and you roll with P.J. Walker, but we'll have him for at least the next 3 games. And who knows, Watson could miss 4 or 5 or 6 games. So as long as Watson is off of IR, they are not trading for a quarterback, in my opinion. But if you had to pick a quarterback between the 2 we just looked at, who would you rather the Browns trade for? Keep in mind, Kirk Cousins is going to cost you a lot more. In fact, I think the Vikings would not even answer the phone if the conversation does not start with a 2024 first-round draft pick, something the Browns do not have. Now, let's wrap up the show by kind of debriefing and catching our breath and regrouping after probably the most, entertaining NFL game of the season, 39-38, multiple lead changes back and forth, came down to the final moments and whatnot. But listen, my official statement after this game is this, and this is for all the Colts fans who are crying in the comment section. The Browns played well enough to win this game. You don't score 38 points by accident. If you score 38 points, you did a lot of things well in all three phases of the game. The Colts got shafted. Yes, those were iffy calls, and if they went the other way and it was against the Browns, we would be having an all-time meltdown right now. We can all agree on that, but I'm not apologizing. It's the National Football League. Some calls go your way, some calls don't go your way. And if there's one fan base after the New Orleans Saints, let's be honest, that knows a thing or two about getting shafted by their zebras, it is the Cleveland Browns. So we're on to Seattle with plenty to work on, surrendering 38 points. I say 39, 38 points to Gardner Minshew and the Indianapolis Colts. But I'm going to take the win, and I'm going to enjoy Victory Monday. And I'm not going to cry about, it wasn't a defensive pass interference, uncatchable. Too bad, Shane. Get over it. Now, Myles Garrett was awesome. Myles Garrett is not human. He is an alien. If you don't believe in UFOs, here's one that came down and was like, Earth's pretty cool. I'm just going to stick it down here and dominate the National Football League. Garrett so far this year, 7.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 31 pressures according to PFF, and a blocked field goal where it was probably one of the most singular athletic plays. Like, NFL linemen are big dudes. Have you ever met an NFL lineman or just seen them? They're not small. Myles Garrett cleared an NFL lineman from the line of scrimmage, jumping over his head to block a field goal. That does not happen every day, or every year for that matter. But Myles Garrett is currently half a sack back from the leaderboard as the number 1 sack getter behind Danielle Hunter and TJ Watt. So he is definitely putting himself in contention yet again for NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and he continues to make incredible plays Sunday after Sunday. So let's show the guy some love. Let's spam his jersey number 95 down in the comment section below. I want him to know the dog pound is always not just going to have his back, but give him his roses when he deserves it, because he deserves it every Sunday, and especially after this game. I also want to give some love to Dustin Hopkins, or as I'm going to start rebranding it as, the better D-Hop, because he is cash money. 7 for 7 from beyond 50 yards. 16 for 18 on the year. 7 for 9 from 40 to 49 yards. He is literally what the Browns wanted Cade York to be. A deep weapon from beyond 50 yards. And the funny thing is, the biggest knock against him was that he doesn't have a super strong leg. Tell that to the 58-yarder he banged right down the middle into the netting against the Colts. So Dustin Hopkins might be the single best move Andrew Berry has made in the last 12 months. I mean, it's pretty crazy to think about, but he has single-handedly, in my opinion, put this team in a position to win 2 straight games now. Before we get on out of here, I do want to show some love to some of the big ballers from our Week 7 watch party against Indianapolis. I'm going to give the MVP award to Dalton Cochran. Dalton, incredible performance in the fourth quarter, just like Kareem Hunt at the goal line. Salute to you, Dalton, and always being an energetic and passionate member of our watch parties. All-Pro, Drunken Honky, came out of nowhere and just put his nuts in a wheelbarrow, South Park style. So shout out to you, Drunken Honky. I'm going to give a Pro Bowl award to Reflectivity. The guy came into the chat with a mission, and that was to be on his worst behavior, start making some noise, getting the crowd into it. Reflectivity was a tone setter this past watch party. I'm going to give the game ball, though, to Alyssa Brewski. Alyssa Brewski might not be someone who pops off every single week for 180 yards, but when Alyssa packs a punch, you're going to feel it. So to Alyssa Brewski and all the Brewskis, game ball to you guys. And my sleeper, time to wake up and see what Christopher Stofira is doing. Chris is coming in every single watch party, minding his own business, and the guy's just picking up first downs. He might not be going off for Jerome Ford's 69-yard touchdown, but he's going to move the ball down the field. He's going to help the defense get off the field, and Christopher is someone to keep an eye on for the rest of the year. That's going to do it for us on today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bit of a longer video, so I appreciate those of you that stuck it all the way until the end. Make sure to hit me up on Twitter at Matthew Petey, and I will see you all later.